absolutely appropriate that you would honor Martin Luther King Jr. Through this organization that is promoting excellence in cultural diversity. In 1964, when my father accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, he said, "Though we have learned to fly the air like birds and swim the seas like fish, we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers and sisters."
In America, evil will not win, I promise you. Hate will not prevail, and white supremacy will not have the last word. For the evil did come to Buffalo. It's come to all too many places. Manifesting gunmen who massacred innocent people in the name of hateful and perverse ideology, rooted in fear and racism. What happened here is simple and straightforward: terrorism. Terrorism. Violence inflicted in the service of hate and the vicious thirst for power that defines one group of people being inherently inferior to any other group. A hate that through the media and politics, the internet, has radicalized, angry, alienated, lost, and isolated individuals. In America, evil will not win, I promise you. Hate will not prevail. White supremacy will not have the last word. For the evil, we heard the chants, "You will not replace us," in Charlottesville, Virginia. I wasn't going to run, as the senator knows, again for president. But when I saw those people coming out of the woods of the fields in Virginia, in Charlottesville, carrying torches, shouting, "You will not replace us," accompanied by white supremacists and carrying Nazi banners. Violence inflicted in the service of hate and the vicious thirst for power that defines one group of people being inherently inferior to any other group. Hate. Look, we've seen the mass shootings in Charleston, South Carolina, El Paso, Texas, and Pittsburgh, last year in Atlanta, this week in Dallas, Texas, and now in Buffalo, New York. White supremacy is a poison. Charlottesville, Virginia. I wasn't going to run, as the senator knows, again for president. When I saw those people coming out of the woods of the fields in Virginia, Charlottesville, carrying torches, shouting, "You will not replace us," accompanied by white supremacists, the venom of the haters and their weapons of war, the violence and the words and deeds that stalk our streets, our stores, our schools. This venom, this violence cannot be the story of our time. Buffalo, New York. White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison. The venom of the haters, and the weapons of war, the violence and the words and deeds.
We believe that 40 people have lost their lives in this act of extreme violence. 10 have died at Linwood Avenue Mosque, 3 of which were outside the mosque itself. A further 30 have been killed at Deans Avenue Mosque. There are also more than 20 seriously injured who are currently in Christchurch A&E. It is clear that this can now only be described as a terrorist attack. In Christchurch A&E. It is clear that this can now only be described as a terrorist attack.
My Lords, this government campaigned on commitments to tackle prejudice, racism and discrimination. That is why the Prime Minister established the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities last July to examine all aspects of continuing racial and ethnic disparities in Britain.
Yeah, and violence doesn't happen in a vacuum. I know there's people on Fox this weekend saying it's to do with video games and it's to do with mental health. It's always mental health. It's funny how brown people never get to be mentally ill. Only white gunmen get to be mentally ill, not brown gunmen. Yeah, and violence doesn't happen in a vacuum. I know there's people on Fox this weekend saying it's to do with video games and it's to do with mental health. It's always mental health. It's funny how brown people never get to be mentally ill. Only white gunmen get to be mentally ill, not brown gunmen. But what I would say is the other double standard is this, and that is that when the whole, when the war on terror debate was at its peak, we were being told that we can't just talk about the violent people. We need to talk about the preachers of hate. We need to talk about the people who create the conditions for all this hatred and bigotry. And again, why are we not having that conversation about white supremacy and white supremacist terrorists? Because they don't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah, and on top of that, and just finally really quickly, it's, I remember how almost every Muslim leader in the country and around the world would have to come out and condemn every single act of terrorism as if they somehow spoke on behalf of all of these deranged terrorists.